Living deep in Brooklyn for the 8th straight year, I had just been dumped by my girlfriend and was super depressed. She had made a big deal about how I didn't have anything nice. And when I was offered a small comedy tour doing shows in Ohio and Kentucky, I did what any broke young man with a bruised ego would do. I decided to buy a car and prove her wrong. Plus, now that I was single again, trying to get a girl back to Brooklyn through 2 trains and a shuttle bus was almost impossible. Taking all the money I had, I began looking for a car on Craigslist, the, let us say, monkey's paw of the internet. Everything I seemed to find was complete crap, and I was beginning to lose hope. When finally, I found it. A maroon Honda Accord with a sunroof and power everything. It was shiny. It was nice. It started. And driving away, I felt like a proud new father. I had a car now, and I was going to raise it as my own. And getting back to Brooklyn, I named it Jack the Honda, after Jack LaLanne, the senior bodybuilder. Because much like Jack LaLanne, it too was old, but in great shape. The following week, we set off for the comedy tour, and the exploring and friendship began. A tractor-trailer almost exploded next to me on the drive down there, and I found a covered bridge in the middle of nowhere with a serious penile obsession and the politest homophobia I had ever seen. I found a couple different gigantic bats, I bought some discount reefer fuel, and if I had a gun, could have only brought it into certain buildings. The days were spent exploring, and the nights were spent performing. And with each passing mile, I thought about that cold, cold woman less. But then, the omens began. I took a photo of Jack in front of the grave of June and Charles Livingood. And the second I took the picture, it started raining. The next day, I passed a barn with Jesus painted on it, and it was creepy. 2 days later, I did a show in some old ghost town, and no matter where I drove, it seemed like everyone knew something I didn't, even Dr. Wine. The final day of my tour rolled around, and I drove south to Corbin, Kentucky, birthplace of Colonel Sanders, and that's about it. I honestly remember thinking I shouldn't have, but I decided to do some exploring before checking into my hotel anyway. I took a right onto Watch Road, and as I stopped to photograph an abandoned gas station, was hit head on. A high school student in a red neon slammed into me doing 50 because the roads were slick, and she wasn't. After getting to my hotel, crying, and then masturbating, the garage called and told me that Jack was dead. It had been hit so hard the frame was bent, and no one could save it, not even Dr. Wine. Sitting in the Greyhound station the next day, awaiting my 17-hour bus trip back to New York, I couldn't quite wrap my brain around all of this. 3 weeks? That's all I had with Jack? Thanks a lot, God. Who apparently was listening because the goddamn bus broke down in Jersey and I had to catch a cab the rest of the way. Taking my insurance settlement, I began the search once again. After a lot of looking, I settled on a purple Nissan with a manual transmission and a bunch of electrical problems that really reminded me of Jack. Although, in the light, it looks more like Jack's gay younger brother than anything else. My mom nicknamed the new car the Grape, and in the 2 years since the accident, I've moved across country, gotten in and out of another relationship, and had my fair share of adventures too. I still think about Jack the Honda every once in a while, but 3 weeks ago, I got a letter from the ex who dumped me back in New York, and I didn't write her back. I guess I was too busy driving around in my car.